Gift-giving behavior and behavior analysis ethics. Today's agenda: introduction to group members and roles. I'm Marina and I'm going to be your introducer. We're going to have Jill as the summarizer for the against gift-giving, Jessica as summarizer for gift-giving, Cindy as researcher, Amy as illustrator, and all group members as fielders. We're going to discuss what ethics is, the scenario at hand, operational definition of gift-giving, some reference to the BACB code, and the newsletter as well.
In this presentation, our group will be covering the following topics regarding gift-giving, ethics, and behavior analysis. So we will be covering multiple relationships, cultural consideration, roles of gifts in society, the ages of the client, and role of the code.
Scenario: gift-giving is primarily a communicative behavior. Presenting and accepting a gift involves sequence of verbal and nonverbal message exchange. From a communication perspective, we define gift-giving as verbal and nonverbal communicative behaviors of presenting tangible or intangible objects from one person to another with the intention of expressing goodwill. Yet a careful reading of the code prohibits this. Sometimes behavior analysts may cross boundaries without even realizing it. This can be seemingly benign as accepting a gift or a cup of coffee or spending 15 minutes chatting with a parent on topics not relevant to treatment. Code 1.06a. Due to the potentially harmful effects of multiple relationships, behavior analysts avoid multiple relationships. B. Behavior analysts must always be sensitive to the potentially harmful effects of multiple relationships. If behavior analysts find that, due to unforeseen factors, a multiple relationship has arisen, they seek to resolve it. Is a divide created by not accepting gifts? Does this then act as a deterrent to effective practice through alienating parents or guardians? How do we, as BCBA, account for social differences and cultural competency? What does the literature and ethical code state? Gift giving. For the purpose of this debate, we have created the operational definition for gift giving as follows: the act of giving or presenting someone something that is either a physical object or a medium of exchange in the form of money. We will now begin discussion of multiple relationships. Definition of multiple relationships. This is in regards to the BACB code 1.06, multiple relationships and conflicts of interest. As we went through before, we discussed both A and B, so now I'm just going to read you C and D. C. Behavior analysts recognize and inform clients and supervisees of the potential harmful effects of multiple relationships. D. Behavior analysts do not accept gifts from or give any gifts to clients because this constitutes a multiple relationship.
Professionalism shouldn't be defined by a person's paycheck, role, or title. It should be defined by a person's work ethics. Jana Kakola. Our group came up with our own operational definition of what we considered gift giving because we, after discussing it, we all had different opinions on what we considered gifts to be and what we classified as gift giving. Although our opinions were similar, we needed it more narrowed down to a singular definition. And that definition is the act of giving or presenting someone something in the physical form or in a medium of exchange in the form of money. Now, the BACB in section 1.06D incorporates gift giving with ethics. And in this, they state that behavior analysts should not receive or give gifts to clients, as this will create a multiple relationship. And as we all know, multiple relationships can create conflicts of interest, and conflicts of interest are what may affect the treatment and the standard of service we provide for our clients, and we cannot allow this to happen. Now, in their May 2015 newsletter, the BACB did narrow down what they considered gifts to be, which I found very helpful. They stated that gifts may include a variety of items, including but not limited to score gift cards, food, clothing, tickets to events, housing, vehicles, and they said just about any other type of tangible or financial item exchange between the behavior analyst and the client. outside the scope of the contract for services. So this is vital that we understand what these definitions are before we progress any further.
Dual relationships and professional boundaries is actually an article that supports those who are against gift giving. It was written by Giebelhausen and Kegel back in 1994, and it talked about a social worker's dual relationship experience as a case example. It really reviewed the research on dual relationships and the therapeutic professions, so it really generalized it amongst all therapeutical professions or professionals. It outlined the legal, ethical, and practice issues involved, and it suggested advice on preventing and responding to dual relationships. So the concluding points for the article is basically bringing more awareness to the subject. As mentioned earlier in the limitations slide, the authors feel like there is not enough information out there on dual relationships, and that could possibly be why a lot of the therapists are engaging in gift giving, because they don't really know that it's something wrong, and they don't know that it could actually jeopardize their career. They also provided suggestions, and they mentioned that maybe giving a flyer with clients' rights, including our professional ethics, could be dispersed to clients so that they become aware of our responsibilities as professionals. And also, they encouraged reporting dual relationship to state licensing and regulatory boards. In addition to that, they feel that more information on dual relationship needs to be incorporated into undergraduate, graduate, and continuing education programs. They highly emphasize that that's probably one of the main reasons why some therapists are engaging in gift giving, because of the lack of knowledge. So having more information out there for everybody to become more aware will probably diminish the likelihood of accepting gifts.
We will now discuss cultural considerations.
In relation to cultural considerations against gift giving, activities that develop friendships or dual relationships can vary from situation to situation and person to person. What an activity that one person might deem as suitable, acceptable, the norm, to others may be verging on crossing over that line from professional to personal relationships. Bailey and Birch in 2016 suggested that we encourage clients to conform to the culture of the behavior analyst rather than the behavior analyst trying to conform to the culture of our clients. And as we know in today's world, cultures play a huge role in how families communicate to professionals, how families communicate to each other, how even we communicate to other people. Expectations from cultures are different, traditions are different, expectations from professionals are different from culture to culture. It is the behavior analyst's job, according to some individuals, to be aware of the culture of our clients, from where they come from the environment they're being brought up. Value placed on gift giving in different cultures differs greatly. It can, as we know and have mentioned, gifts represent or imply several different things, and these also change depending on the individual. They can be a sign of respect, a sign of acknowledgement, of gratitude, a simple act of kindness. It can be culturally expected to provide a professional that you're working with a gift. Again, it could be just a gift to say thank you, or a gift to say, yes, we accept you as our professional, and we accept you in the role of an individual that is coming in to help our family member and our family. The thing about what gifts represent and imply is, what are the future expectations attached to them? Maybe there are none. Maybe it is just a nice gesture. However, there are those instances where there are future expectations, and they may not arrive in the next week or so, but a few months down the road, it could come up, and that's when the issue arises, that when you have these dual relationships, or multiple relationships as we're calling it, that you will have conflict of interest. Now, another article written was entitled The Development of Cultural Awareness Skills of Behavioral Analysts. It was written in 2016 by Elizabeth Foy and her colleagues, and they highlighted and focused on the behavioral analysts becoming more culturally aware of their clients, of those they work with, and the importance of education in relation to all the different cultures that we will come into contact with, or possibly some we won't, but having the knowledge on how to approach and communicate with individuals from different cultures is a vital role of the behavioral analyst. Continuing on the topic of cultural considerations, we chose 6 countries to delve slightly into the topic of gifts and gift giving and what it means for within each of those countries. Now, for the United States, France, Germany, and Mexico, there was no obligation to give a gift. However, when you do give one in these countries, it is considered the polite thing to do to open the gifts immediately. In Mexico, as a sign of respect to the host family, if they have children, you tend to bring a gift for the children, and that incorporates the whole family in your way to show gratitude and thanks for being invited. Now, in Ireland, where I'm from, it is expected if you're invited to a house to arrive with a gift, be it a box of biscuits, be it a plant, or a bottle of wine. And it is also considered polite that you return the favor when you're invited back to the person's house. In China, giving gifts is a sign of respect, friendship, love, gratitude. It is a way to make and maintain relationships, both personal and professional. It is considered rude if you open the gift immediately, because it is seen as you value the gift more than the person who was given it and their time and the consideration. Now, while these 6 countries that we've covered, we did not take into consideration all the other cultures living within these countries. We just wanted to give a small glimpse into the various ways gifts and gift giving were considered.
When considering the argument for accepting gifts from clients, it's important to consider the background of the clients and their culture. And a lot of the families that we work with are not going to be American, and they're going to have different backgrounds and different cultures. And a lot of cultures view gift giving in a different way than Americans do, and also it's going to be different than the way we view it as professionals. A lot of families might want to give a gift as a way to build a relationship with us as a professional and to also show respect for us as professionals. And this is something to really consider when we're especially beginning services with a client. We may be doing an assessment, and we might be first coming into the home, and the family might want to show their respect for us. They might want to try to get to know us and build a relationship, and they might offer us a gift. And this gift is probably not going to be something lavish or very expensive, but it might be a home-cooked baked good, maybe some cookies. They might offer a cup of tea or a glass of water. And it's important to think about the therapeutic relationship going forward. And you want to build a good relationship with the family so that your services are going to be beneficial for your client. And I think it's important to make the family feel comfortable. We're going to be coming into their homes or maybe coming into the school setting. And it's really important that we make families just feel comfortable with our presence. It's also important to remember that there might be language barriers. Families might be scared. They've never been in a situation like this. And it's just really important to make families feel comfortable and to also make them feel respected as well. So if they offer us a gift in the sense of a glass of water, a cup of tea when we enter their home, it may be more therapeutic and more beneficial in the long run to accept this versus to deny it.
Developing the Cultural Awareness Skills of Behavior Analysts, written by Fong and Associates back in 2016, is an article that is supporting those who are for gift giving. I feel like the article really discussed the importance of being culturally knowledgeable in order to better assist our clients. In a nutshell, it basically talked about the different benefits of determining cultural identity, as they believe can allow behavior analysts to develop an awareness of a client's personal cultural values, their preferences, their characteristics, circumstances, and even our own as behavior analysts. They also describe strategies for establishing cultural awareness practices and bringing those into our behavior analytic services when delivering services, when supervising, and growing as a professional. So in conclusion, the article attempted to encourage behavior analysts to continue learning about the different cultures for numerous reasons. One of them was it'll make our jobs easier. Two, you will continue to learn and grow as a professional. Three, you will benefit diverse populations. Four, if you practice evidence-based services, you'll be practicing them more likely than not, and chances are you will be growing more as a professional as well. So there were a lot of reasons as to why continuing to learn more about different cultures would be beneficial for a behavior analyst. As the author described, the growing diversity of our population expands the complexity and variety we can expect to encounter, so we must continue to develop cultural competence skills through behaviors of awareness, collecting the right data, and honoring what's important to our clients.
Roles of gifts in society. Against gift giving. Maya and Pine 2010 did a really nice job summing up gift giving, and they describe it as an obligation which is needed to preserve a relationship. So they broke down the cycle of gift giving, with the first aspect being give. Different moral or societal obligations may feed into this need to give and receive gifts. Clients are not immune to these feelings. Based on how they were raised, culture, or simply the society we live in, those around us may feel the need to provide us with gifts. This is one of the many reasons why we as a field should shy away from accepting of gifts. The second aspect is receive. There is a certain need or obligation that we have to take gifts from others. This aspect becomes especially problematic as behavior analysts. We aren't able to accept these gifts, and at times this is hard to explain to clients. However, based on how we are as a society, there's a picture painted that we need to accept these gifts, and it may be considered rude or unfavorable not to. The last part of the cycle is repay. There is an expectation that a gift of either equal or greater value than we were given will be returned. According to ethics, not only are we not able to receive gifts, we're not able to give gifts, as this may cause issues with the current professional relationship. As mentioned, there may be certain expectations associated with gift giving, which may include extra time with staff or services greater than what others are receiving. Relevant factors: religion, moral, and status. So there's a lot of different issues associated with this. As stated, there may be differences in expectation based on the gift provided, and this leads to the fact of inequity. Not all of our clients come from the same socioeconomic background. Some may be able to provide us with a $5 gift and others with a $100 gift. Although I'd like to say that we would all be able to put that aside and treat the clients all equally, there may be those who are unable to do so, and this leads to an inequity in services provided. By not accepting or giving gifts, we steer clear of these issues.
Gift giving plays a really big role in society. Gift giving is a way to build relationships and to maintain them, and it's also a way to express feelings. When working with our clients, we usually work on building relationships, we work on maintaining relationships and friendships, and we will usually work on teaching social skills. And I think gift giving plays a really big role when it comes to social skills. For us to deny a gift that a client might give us may send the wrong message. And I think it would be really difficult for us, given the situation, to explain why we cannot accept a gift from a client. When it comes to children who are school age, usually they give gifts to other professionals such as teachers and speech therapists, occupational therapists. So for us to not be able to accept a gift when those people are accepting gifts, it may be really confusing for our clients to understand. And when teaching social skills, if they are giving a gift infrequently that's inexpensive, again, maybe they made a picture or they are brought us some cookies or something like that, it might be more therapeutic for us to accept the gift in that situation than to deny this gift. Uh, Blanco and Sheely Moore had discussed in their article that during play therapy, a therapist had denied a gift from a child. The child was giving them pretzels, some kind of edible, and they actually refused the gift from the child. And the child moved away from the therapist and would not engage with them. And I think this is a really big part of why accepting a gift that's inexpensive, that's infrequent, that's really not a big deal in terms of price is important, because we want to and we need to maintain a good rapport and a good relationship with clients and with families. And because we're trying to teach social skills and we're trying to maintain relationships and we're trying to teach our clients how to maintain relationships, to accept a small gift from time to time may be more therapeutic and more beneficial for our clients and for the overall relationship.
So after hearing about for and against gift giving in terms of the role that it plays in society, I also wanted to cover what a specific research has done in the field of counseling. And though it's not in ABA, it's still relatable to the field as it plays a role in society. So Knox et al. Did research on clients' experiences giving gifts to therapists, and there are different domains in terms of why clients gave gifts. There's also, it talks about like how often it was, but I'm just going to go over kind of some of the reasons behind clients' experiences with gift giving. So it talks about like the relationship with therapists, that it was a positive one. Talks about concerns that were addressed in psychotherapy. So the reasons why they went in for therapy in the first place, they were all addressed. So it could talk about like family problems, trauma, whatever really was bothering them, it was addressed in that therapy session or multiple sessions, and they felt that gift giving was something to show appreciation. There's a difference between something that was bought versus something that was made. And then the cost of gift. So there were gifts that were $25 or less, some that were greater than $50. Those that were $25 or less were more typical, whereas greater than $50 varied. And how the participants selected gifts. So some selected based on what the therapist would like, and some would link it to their psychotherapy session. And then there's the overall course of therapy gift was given during, non-termination times. So to continue with Knox et al.'s research findings, clients also gave gifts during termination. So that means that after all the therapy sessions were done, they gave the gift in the final session. Then there's also specific sessions that gifts were given within either the session itself or outside of the session. There's also participants felt that he or she gave gifts, had mixed emotions, also sometimes were mostly nervous or uncomfortable, but most of them positive as well. So the meaning of gift when it comes to clients in the counseling field was to express thanks or appreciation, to mark like a certain life event or milestone that was achieved, and to please the therapist as well. So when it talks about like the discussion of the gift with therapists, some said it was brief without exploring deeper meaning. Some were discussion elicited by the therapist's disclosure, and then they also discussed the appropriateness of the gift. And then effects of event. So on the participant side, which is the client side, some were positive and some were mixed. And then in terms of the therapist, the gifts meant positive and some were by surprise.
Double-Edged Sword, Understanding Gifts in Psychotherapy, written by Spandler and Associates back in 2000, is actually another article that talked about or supported those who are for gift giving. The paper was written with the intent to demonstrate how therapists in the field of psychotherapy felt about giving gifts and how they interpreted such things. The study identified many experiences and practices around receiving and interpreting gifts, which prompted questions like, is this really ethical? And inspired against specifying perspective guidelines for practice. In this paper, the researchers attempted to explain why gift giving is seen as acceptable and appropriate. Some of their concluding points were: refusal to gifts can cause harm, while equally both acceptance and overinterpretation can cause difficulties. It may symbolize some process in the therapy. It may be part of the client's varied but limited repertoire of nonverbal communication. And in concentrating too much with what is given, we may miss out on the importance of what is within the relationship. Behavior analysts accept gifts during practice, so now what? This is actually an article that is supporting those who are against gift giving. It was written by Witz and Associates back in 2017. The article really tried to assess the extent to which the practice of accepting gifts happened in the field of applied behavior analysis, and it tried to bring about a bigger discussion about how the compliance code influences the practice of behavior analysis. In conclusion, further research needs to take place to discuss ways on how to address gift giving. As noted in this article, behavior analysts are accepting gifts as some believe that it's what's in the best interest of the child. However, abiding by the ethical codes, specifically Ethical Code 1.06, should be the appropriate way of handling gifts. Age of clients.
Against gift giving. Should the age of the client giving the gift matter when deciding on accepting it or not? This is a question that often causes a lengthy debate among professionals. Should it matter? No, it should not matter. Regardless of the age of the client, they are a client and you should not accept gifts, give gifts, period. It should not be done. Although we always view each client as an individual, we take into consideration their mental age and their level of understanding. We view all clients the same in relation to gift giving. While a hand-drawn picture is a beautiful thought that we all want to display proudly, either in our office, on our fridge, in our home, it can have a different meaning depending on the client who gave it to us. For example, I'm going to use Jill, is our 4-year-old, who took a long time yesterday to draw this beautiful picture with crayons, her favorite colors, of you and her sitting at your table drawing. She loves coming to see you. It's one of her happiest times of the day, and she wanted to give you this gift. Now we have Jack, is a 22-year-old male, who comes to see you as well. He comes in after Jill, and he drew you a picture with his favorite crayons of you and him sitting side by side at the desk. Jack drew this picture for you because he enjoys your company. He likes coming to see you. You always put a smile on his face, and Jack wants you to be his girlfriend. Same gift, very different intentions behind it. Now, acceptance of these gifts can lead to confusion, future expectations. Are you expected to give a gift? Are they expected to give more gifts? Unwarranted views on how your relationship is now. Is it a relationship where your client arrives at 5 p.m. and leaves at 6 p.m.? Or is it now a relationship where your client can be dropped off at 10 minutes to 5 and possibly picked up after 6? Is your relationship now gone from the professional to professional stroke personal, or professional and friend, or I have to be somewhere, can you keep them later? Can we have it at a different time? Can we have it at a different location? From the very beginning, you need to set down and make it quite clear where your stances are in relation to gifts. And as we've said earlier, gifts can range greatly from a cup of coffee in the cold morning to beautiful hand-drawn picture, to gift cards, to a beautiful scarf if our family brings you back from their vacation in Spain. Gifts can vary greatly, and the intentions behind them, as we've mentioned, can vary greatly. In relation to how we deal with being offered a gift, we must consider our relationship with the client and their families. Relationships are built on trust, and this is no different in the professional world. As behavioral analysts, we work closely with families and see them at their strongest and their weakest. These families entrust us with their members of the family that they love, and this includes their feelings. Saying no to a child who has worked endlessly to put 100 pasta shells on a string to make you your very own necklace can have immediate negative impact on the relationship that was previously positive and therefore productive. And this impact can be immediate, and it can be long-term, and sometimes it can be irreversible. Questions such as, why don't you want my child's gift? Is there a problem? Do we need to talk? Do you want something better? Is it not good enough? Would you take it from any other client? Why would you hurt my child's feelings? They put a lot of time into this. Again, stating your position on accepting gifts, however small and seemingly innocent, from the very beginning of your relationship will help to avoid any necessary issues that could have a negative impact on the service provided and the involvement of the families. And as we know, involvement of the families is crucial for treatments to be effective and successful. Now, in relation to Jack and Jill, another issue that may arise is that some behavior analysts may state that they will accept and make gifts from their younger clients, let's say 8 and below. So we have Jill, she arrives 4 to 5, and we have Jack, who is sitting there waiting because he's here from 5 to 6. Now, when Jill goes to leave, her mum is there and she hands her the necklace she made from pasta shells. She left it at home. She wanted to give it to you as a gift. So as Jill is leaving, she hands you the gift. You say thank you. She's one of your younger clients. You love it. And Jill goes on her way. Jack is sitting there and he sees, ooh, I can make you a gift. Gifts make you happy. So Jack then goes home and spends a lot of time making you a pasta bracelet. He's put a lot of time into this, a lot of effort, and he knows you will love it. And he goes at the next session and he hands it to you. And you turn around and say, I'm sorry, Jack, I cannot accept your gift. Well, Jack has seen you accept Jill's gift. Why won't you accept his gift? What's the difference? Do you not like Jack? Do you not want to work with him? Are you not friends? And this can have a straightaway immediate impact on the relationship you have with Jack as a behavioral analyst and a client. It will impact how the effort Jack puts in and whether he even wants to turn up. So we have to consider all the options here. And can we accept from one client and not another? No. We must have the same stance for each one of our clients, regardless of their age.
When considering accepting a gift from a client, we need to take their age and developmental level into consideration. It would be very different to accept a picture that a severely impacted child drew for us versus accepting a diamond bracelet that a high-functioning adult client bought for us. What age of client should come into consideration when accepting or denying gifts. But especially when it comes to working with children, we want them to feel safe with their therapist and with us as professionals to communicate their wants and their needs. And we don't want to hurt clients' feelings. We don't want clients to feel rejected. At the end of the day, we want to remain sensitive to clients' needs. Also, when it comes to working with children, a lot of times they will want to draw a picture and give it to us, or they will want to share food items with their therapist. And things of this nature can really strengthen the therapeutic relationship and the overall effectiveness of the treatment. And things of this nature are also inexpensive, easy to obtain, and may be better to accept gifts of this nature than to deny them, because overall at the end of the day we do want our services and our treatment to be effective.
So after hearing the arguments for and against gift giving in terms of the ages of the clients, here are some real life examples of gifts from a child. So this gift was given after the termination of a therapy session. The child is 5 years old, and as you can see in the picture, their markers were used, pom-pom balls, and stickers, and this 5-year-old gave the therapist this picture as a gift. So to you, do you think this is appropriate? Is this something that you would accept as a BCBA? Here is an example of a gift from an adult that was also handmade. So this adult was 25 years old. This is supposed to represent a kite, and this individual absolutely loved kites. This was kind of like his thing to do, and he gave the therapist at the final session as well this kite that he made throughout his hospital stay. So it was also made with different materials, as you can see. This was totally handmade. Now, as a BCBA, do you think that this is acceptable as a gift?
Role of the code.
If ethics are poor at the top, that behavior is copied down through the organization. The Professional and Ethical Compliance Code for Behavioral Analysts sets the high standard from the very start on how it expects its professionals to act, to conduct themselves through the decisions they make and the information they provide out to others. There's a standard, there can be no deviation from this standard. It is straightforward, it covers all areas, and it is black and white. There are no gray areas in the ethics code. And it is through this code also that other professionals that we will work with understand that we have a high ethical responsibility, and we are expected to adhere to this. We are expected to know our code and all sections of our code. It is our responsibility as a professional, it is our responsibility to our profession, and it is definitely our responsibility to our clients. If we are to provide the highest standard possible, we need to understand and know our ethics code. As Robert Noe said, behavior is copied down through the organization. It starts high. The BACB set this standard, and we must adhere to it. To begin in the concluding section on against gift giving, we must start by stating the code section 1.06D, which clearly states that behavioral analysts do not accept any gifts from or give any gifts to clients because this constitutes a multiple relationship. And as we know, multiple relationships can lead to conflict of interest. We should always acknowledge the gesture from the clients or their families, but must remain clear on our ethical responsibilities to ourselves, to the code, to our profession. And this all ties into what is best for the client. There are plenty of potential risks that we have covered in this debate. And these risks are for ourselves, our clients, our profession. These risks can be both short-term and long-term. Do we, as professional analysts, want to open the door and create risks that have such huge implications for all parties involved? As Samuel Knapp and his colleagues concluded in their 2013 article, The Dark Side of Behavioral Ethics, ethics acculturation is a developmental process that occurs throughout our entire careers. We are always learning. We are always growing. We should never presume that we have reached that point where everything is perfect. We know everything. It is important that behavioral analysts understand that it is their responsibility to ensure that they make the transition from private citizen to professional. Birch and Bailey in 2016 stated that the potential conflicts of a history of personal ethics versus newly learned professional ethics and our code is a worthy challenge for our field, and one that is worth engaging in for the benefit and integrity that it will bring to our profession. Our profession has set these high standards and it expects them to be maintained. It is our responsibility morally and ethically as professionals and representatives of the field of ABA to ensure that we are up to this challenge. For that, gift giving should not be considered in the best interest of our profession. Receiving gifts should not be in the best interest of our profession, regardless of the culture of the clients, regardless of the age of the clients, regardless of the circumstances. Gift giving and gift receiving in behavior analysts profession is unethical and should not be endorsed or accepted.
3 things you can do instead of accepting gifts from a client. Number 1, be proactive. Send some form of a letter or email informing the clients about the code of ethics and that no gifts will be accepted. Number 2, offer an alternative. Offer the clients an opportunity to say something nice about the therapist. Number 3, give them a printable card. This card will remind them of why you cannot accept the gift.
Gifts are a means of expression, both outside and inside the therapeutic context. And outside of therapy, gifts are given for holidays and for celebrations of significant life events. And within the therapeutic process, these events might be initial sessions or terminations of sessions, or even children's personal achievements within sessions. You might be working with a child on proper holding of a pencil and on handwriting and on letter writing and things of this nature. And they might draw you a picture one day or write their name for the first time and want to give this to you. And if you deny this, this may make them feel rejected. This could hinder your relationship with them. And this is the idea behind accepting gifts. Through all the research that we've done as a group for this project, there are no articles that say accept every gift that a client offers you, including cars and diamond bracelets and $100 gift cards. This is not really the argument behind for gift giving. The argument is if a client or a family is trying to build a relationship with you, is trying to build rapport, is trying to strengthen your relationship, if they want to offer you a glass of water, if a child draws you a picture, should you take this item? Should you take this gift? What is going to be the repercussion of declining this gift? How is accepting the gift going to affect your therapeutic relationship? It's really important to look at the positives of accepting the gifts for the therapeutic relationship and what the positive benefits are when accepting gifts, because at the end of the day, you want to always strengthen your relationship. And so the factor to consider is always the end result of accepting the gift or declining the gift. And this is the overall point when looking at the argument for gift giving.
So thank you guys for watching so far. Now we're going to have a question and answer session. These questions were from the professor, and we are going to answer it in the next few slides.
What are some preventative strategies you can use to help clients, including parents and/or others, not offer to provide you as professional behavior analysts gifts? I feel like this is a really tough one sometimes. In 2015, the BACB May newsletter discussed some preventative strategies that we can use in regards to gift giving. So they discussed discussion including gift giving policy given to all new clients. Right off the bat, that way there's no expectations in regards to gift giving. If it's put in writing, they're able to reference back and see exactly why and what our policy is. To be further proactive with current clients, there was discussion of giving an annual tune-up on gift giving near the holidays so that there wasn't that feeling that they had to give you a gift during the holiday season. Branching off from that a little bit, there was also mention of training staff on how to handle potential situations prior to occurrence. If staff are prepared, there's no accidental issues of accepting gifts that should not be accepted. Another important aspect, if gift was to be given, obviously we can't accept it, but we can recognize the intention of the gift. A lot of the time, it's just a parent or other trying to show us appreciation. So we can acknowledge and be gracious, but also explain to them why we can't in regard to the code, and just show them that we are happy to provide them services and that we are grateful to have them as clients.
Question number 2. What might be some aversive consequences that can occur if you accept a small gift such as a glass of water, $5 gift card? For example, what happens if a parent gives you a gift that you accept, but 6 months later the parent decides that they're unhappy with the services you're providing and starts to seek out retribution? So there are many factors considering this situation. A lot of behavior analysts or professionals feel like even if it's just a small gift that it's not going to be harmful in any way, but it actually runs into the consequences of a multiple relationship. The parents can be confused in terms of whether you are a professional and also someone that they can rely on, like a friend or someone that they can talk to. But also, gifts can sometimes be used as a bribery. So, for example, in this case, if the parent feels that they gave you something nice presented in a gift, that you would treat them better than all your other clients, and also that you would do anything to kind of please them or have treatments that they would like instead of really going based off of your knowledge base in the field. And in this example, when the treatment plan doesn't work out and they're unhappy with your services, it can run in so many ways in terms of professional boundaries. So it crosses a lot of professional boundaries in terms of them being able to say like, well, I gave you a gift, so how come you couldn't give the treatment plan that I was happy with, or um, how come you couldn't be nice like I did for you? So you run into a lot of factors, and there's a lot of factors that you have to consider. And these are just some of the factors that I listed, but depending on every different situation, there's going to be things that come up, and you're going to have to look at the ethical guidelines. And some situations are not black and white, so you are going to run into tricky situations. But I'm curious to know what your thoughts are in terms of this situation, what you would have done, what you wouldn't have done, and also related to the BACB ethical guidelines. Question number 3. do you have any personal experience related to this topic that you would like to share? So I have a couple. I'm currently not in the ABA field. I work in a hospital setting, helping children and their families cope with hospitalization. So the first example is an 8-year-old that gave me a card with a Dunkin' Donut gift card in it, and this was given to me after the session was over and there were no more sessions after that. And I kept both. For the card, I felt like it was not harmful, and then for the gift card, I had to ask my supervisor if I could keep it, just because there was kind of like money expense involved, and her response was that it was okay. The second experience that I have is a teenager that wrote me a handwritten letter, and she's also an artist, so she drew me a picture, and I kept both of the gifts. It showed her appreciation of how much I have helped her throughout her hospitalization, and all of these are actually posted on my wall at my workplace. And I felt like it wasn't harmful, it wasn't going to intervene with our sessions, and I haven't seen her since in the hospital. We would like to hear what your experiences are with gift giving, and if you have any personal experiences with gifts and what you did and what you didn't do.
Who you are tomorrow begins with what you do today. Tim Fargo. This quote is definitely relevant in today's litigation climate and the professional behavior analyst. We must set a standard from the very beginning on how we want to be seen as professionals and how we want our profession itself to be seen by others. Real integrity is doing the right thing, knowing that nobody's going to know whether you did it or not. Oprah Winfrey.
So here are the references that we have used throughout this presentation. Here's some more references, and here are the rest of the references. Our group would like to thank you all for watching our presentation. If you have any questions, comments, any feedback, please comment below in the discussion board, and we will all start having conversations about our presentation. Once again, thank you all for watching.